Today we're gonna tackle risotto. A lot of people don't really like to mess with risotto at home because a lot of people say it's hard or it's time consuming. It can be a little bit time consuming, but it's really not hard at all. You just kind of monitor what you're doing and you can't really have a whole lot of distractions. Now I do realize in life nowadays, there's tons of distractions. You get phone calls, text messages, emails. You have dogs running around and kids running around and all kinds of stuff going on. So it can take a little bit of time to get used to making risotto when there's a bunch of things going on, but you really do want to kind of stay next to your pot and stir. That's your one big thing you have to do, is stir. If you don't, you're gonna ruin it. It's really easy, but it just takes about 20 minutes of constant arm work. So you get a muscle by the end of it. All right, here we go. You just want to get your pot to a nice medium heat. We're gonna just melt some butter in there, a little bit of olive oil, add that in there with the butter. A couple tablespoons. Once the butter and oil start getting hot and start to melt, you don't want to burn your butter and get it nice and brown or anything like that. You just want to get it nice and melted. And then we're gonna add in our onion that we pre-dice. We're just gonna kind of sweat that. We don't really want to fry it. We just want to kind of cook it down to release a lot of the flavor in there. One thing that always helps onion sweat is salt. Releases moisture faster. In the back pot here, I have some stock going. I'm using chicken stock right now. Of course, you can make your risotto completely vegetarian. The onions are sweating down nicely. Towards the end of that, I'm gonna add in the garlic to release that garlicky flavor in there without burning it. Give that a quick stir. Then we're gonna dump in the arborio rice and start with the stock after that. You got the stock you want to have it hot, so that way when you're adding it in, it's going to absorb and it doesn't have to wait to heat up in the pot with the risotto. You're going to add in your risotto and then we're going to saute that with the onion, olive oil, and butter. You're just going to kind of toast it and you're going to start getting the starches to open and release in the pan. That's actually where the creaminess of risotto comes from. Some people think it comes from adding milk or something to it, but we actually don't do that. It's just the actual starch from the arborio rice that creates that texture. It's gonna start getting a little bit of a stickiness to it. Once you kind of start feeling that stickiness in the pan, as you stir, you can feel it start to kind of stick to the pan. That's where you want to start adding your stock in. Risotto is definitely a two-hand thing. This is a heat stir. As you stir it, you're going to notice that the liquid will start to absorb, and then once it kind of starts getting a little bit of a sticky feeling again, that's when you'll add more of the stock. A restaurant trick for doing this, even if you want to have a dinner party and you want to have risotto, and of course nobody wants to be standing over the stove for 20 minutes while their guests arrive, you can do this part during the day, and then what you need to do is get a cookie sheet and you can line it with tin foil if you want. I kind of don't really recommend it though. I would just leave it plain. Once you get towards the end of the cooking process, but not the actual finished product, you want to stop doing what you're doing. You want to dump the risotto onto the cookie sheet, lay it out really flat, smooth it all out, then take your spoon and just cut grooves in it so the air will release, and you can put that in your fridge and let it cool down. Right before you want to serve it, you have some more of your stock, put it back in the pot, get everything nice and hot again, and then add the hot stock to it, bring it up to temperature, and it'll be done in 5 minutes rather than 20 minutes. You don't have to worry about doing the whole thing from scratch in the middle of a dinner party if you want to do it that way. I usually only do about 2 ladles of stock each time. You don't want to put too much in. Just 1 or 2 ladles, stir it, wait for it to absorb, do it again and do it again and do it again. It basically gets to a tenderness just like rice would. Starting to get a really nice creaminess to it now. A few more rounds with the stock. Almost gone. I'm also going to add in a little bit of a dry white wine. Pinot Grigio works, Chardonnays work, It all just depends on your flavor. You can use Marsala if you want, especially if you're doing a mushroom risotto. That comes out really nice together. Just remember, the most important part of risotto is to just keep stirring. You want to have a good, sturdy bottom pot, and that way it's get a good, even heat across there, and then just keep moving it around and moving it around. It will stick and it will burn if you walk away from it. You do not want that to happen, because then you got to start all over, or you're going to be eating that nice burnt taste throughout everything. Getting close to the end here, it's nice and creamy. So what I'm going to do is add a little salt. Cracked black pepper. I do a coarse crack on it, and I always just kind of keep it on the side for when I need it. We're going to add in our corn. Give that all a quick stir. And then Parmigiano Reggiano. Two things I recommend. When you're putting cheese in your risotto, grate your own. Buy a block of Parmigiano Reggiano and grate it and add it to it. The flavor makes all the difference in the world. Don't buy the powdery cheese that you can buy on the shelf. Go to the refrigerated section. Buy a nice little block of Parmigiano Reggiano. Growing up, Locatelli was always my grandmother's go-to choice for Parmesan. We used to go down to South Street in Philadelphia to the cheese shops down there and pick out the piece that you want. That way you knew you were always getting a little bit of a nicer cut, maybe something that's being rotated a little bit faster. You want to taste your risotto as you go a couple times just to see if the rice is getting tender enough. You don't want it too crunchy. I do like mine personally a little al dente. I like to have a little bit of a chew to it. I'm starting to break a pretty good sweat because you're over the stove. It's nice and hot the whole time. Constantly stir, stir, stir for about 25 minutes. But the risotto is looking really, really good. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Risotto goes great with fish, shellfish, scallops, whitefish, pan-seared. Have it on its own. You can do it as a side dish with steak. It just really depends on what you're in the mood for. You can do like chunk lobster meat in here and create a nice side. But it really is like an endless possibility. Just mess with it and have some fun. You can also ball it up and fry it. When we traveled around Italy, you find that a lot of places. Good, good, good. All done. I'm gonna get to prepping some scallops now that I can serve on top of this. We're just gonna pan sear off some scallops. This is a real easy thing to do. Just takes some getting used to, just like anything else. Just get some butter going in your pan. Season the scallops before they go in, a little bit of salt and pepper. Remember, everything has two sides. Flip it over. Season both. These scallops aren't too big, so depending on the size of scallops that you got, just kind of want to monitor that, and that's going to tell you your cooking time. These are 20-30s, so we got 4 apiece, put on top of the risotto. It's only going to take about a minute or 2 per side. So we'll get this one side done. We're going to flip it, let it sear for a few. I'm going to use a little bit of white wine, and then I'm going to lid it just to steam it to make sure that they're cooked all the way through. I like my scallops a little on the underdone side, but not everybody likes to do it that way. They want everything well done, but if you have a good quality scallop, you don't need it to be well. We're going to do a little flip ski. We got that nice little bit of brown. Pinot Grigio in there to steam it up. Once you get that steam going, lid on. Smells really, really good actually. That wine with the salt, pepper, and a little bit of seafood, it just gives off such a great aroma. I love it. It's only gonna be like another minute. Pull it off, have a little plate ready for the side, and they'll be done. Now remember, everything you take off of the stove will continue to cook with residual heat. So you want to take it off a little bit on the underdone side and not when it's completely cooked. Otherwise, it's going to be fully cooked and overdone by the time you get into it. These are finished, in my opinion.